Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I know you got tired of hearing me say during the baseball season, just get to the World Series and then find a way to get it done when you do that. You told me if the Indians didn't win the Central Division, they didn't care about the wild card. Really? Tell that to the fans of the Washington Nationals, who are now just 2 games away from winning their first World Series since the 1920s. This Washington team is very similar to the Indians. 2 great pitchers, not great power, and a questionable bullpen, but that's a formula that just may get them to the title. But whether they do or they don't, they should know now that the path could absolutely begin in the wild card game. I'd rather have a 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5, but nobody in the nation's capital is going to complain about that today. Paul Hoynes is here. That means we're less than an hour away from a great rant. More Sports and Les-Levine starts right now. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine on a Thursday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine, into our 24th consecutive year and exclusively seen on cleveland.com. Well, I lied to you. I said Paul Hoynes is here. He's not. Hopefully he will find his way to the studios. If not, we will carry on ourselves at 216-575-0403. And, of course, you can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. Lots to talk about. There's an NFL game today that nobody really cares about. It'll be Minnesota hosting Washington. All Washington is caring about, apparently, is their World Series situation, where they're up 2-0 in the best-of-7 series with that win last night over the Houston Astros. Houston Astros today fired their general manager for, you may have heard some of the comments he made, alcohol-induced, allegedly, about one of his players and some of the female reporters. And middle of the World Series, he's gone. So we'll talk about that if you'd like, and anything else. This just in, I hate to just say breaking news because everybody says breaking news. You would think by now some of the networks and radio stations would come up with something in addition to breaking news, but breaking news, and it involves the Rawlings Gold Glove in Major League Baseball. And we'll take a look at the catcher position first. Danny, three finalists now, and Danny Jansen of the Blue Jays is one, Christian Valquez from the Red Sox, and Roberto Perez from the Cleveland Indians, seen on the left. 0 passed balls by Roberto Perez the entire season. What a year he had. Over 20 home runs, and people worried about losing Yan Gomes. Well, you get a glimpse of Yan Gomes on the bench at the World Series, but that's all you get. So congratulations to Roberto Perez, one of 3 finalists. They'll name the winner in a couple of days. How about the shortstop position? Well, you know who I think it is. Not Marcus Semien, not Andrelton Simmons, but it's Francisco-Lindor, who is a finalist again in the category of shortstop for in the American League. 216-575-0403. If Hoynesy gets here, I want to talk to him about Stadium Journey, which is a travel site that offers unique insight to help sports travelers plan their sports excursions. And a lot of people do that. I know several people who went on a bus trip of the United States following baseball teams around. But this site, which is called Stadium Journey, ranks the baseball stadiums. And let's take a look. We'll go to number 7 to start it off and count it down. Look at the bottom there. But Coors Field is number 7, the home of the Rockies. Wrigley Field and Fenway Park, the 2 classic ballparks. PNC in Pittsburgh, which I love. Busch Stadium, Oracle Park, which is fantastic. And number 1, Progressive Field. And it says why, when you say, well, why would Progressive Field be number 1? If you're sitting out in Colorado or Seattle or someplace like that, and you're wondering why they're chosen number 1. And first of all, it was built in an era of baseball stadiums being built as cathedrals. They said it aged quickly, but the team didn't let it age. They made the game day experience less enjoyable. it didn't make it any less enjoyable. The total renovation of the outfield and the concession areas, if you remember what it used to look like, as well as the addition of a museum in the outfield, make what was once a stadium that was a little bit drab completely new again. I think you'll agree that one thing about Progressive Field, Jacobs Field, if that's what you want to still call it, I think the first thing you think about, or first thing I think about when I walk in, is this doesn't look like a 25-year-old stadium. I mean, think about that when you consider that most of us cut our teeth on Cleveland Municipal Stadium, and here you have this cathedral, as it's stated here in Stadium Journey, and it hasn't really aged. The first classic ballpark of the Jacobs Field era would be Camden Yards in Baltimore. It's not even listed in the top 7 here, and they sort of wrote the book on it. Once they came up with that Camden Yards in Baltimore, then several tried to imitate it, including the Indians. Same people doing the job on that, and it just looked better. What they found mostly from a baseball standpoint is that Camden Yards had every seat in the stadium aimed at the pitcher's mound, which is logical because that's where it all starts. But starting with Cleveland, they angled all the seats toward home plate, which gave you a much better feel for what was happening in the ballgame. But so congratulations to Camden Yards, even though they don't make this list, but they started it all with the new era of ballparks. And I'd like to know if you've been to other ballparks, what is your favorite? PNC in Pittsburgh, I think, is terrific. Oracle Park, although I think when I went there it was Pac-Bell, and with so many unique features, including McCovey's Cove, as well as the glove in left center field, which is terrific. I haven't been to the new Busch Stadium, was at the old one. And if you favor the old ones in Wrigley Field and Fenway Park, let me know which one you like better and why. In fact, let me know if there's a stadium that is left off this list, and if you think they're overrating Cleveland's baseball team or baseball park. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Here's the stat you should know. Did you know $6.25 million is paid out on the Ohio Lottery pick games every week? With that amount of winning, you stop by your local retailer, try your luck with Pick 3, Pick 4, and Pick 5. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. In fact, we'll check out some of your Facebook responses a little bit later. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Downtown Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downtown Casino.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We're trying to track down Hoynes. Hopefully he is okay. 216-575-0403. Email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow morning along with Jeff Phelps. I'll be there from 10 until 2. That's on 92.3 The Fan. 216-575-0403 is the number for you to call if you've got some comments about those Gold Glove finalists, which includes Roberto Perez of the Indians in the catching department and Francisco-Lindor. And nothing against Andrelton Simmons of the Angels. Actually, as Indians fans, we didn't get to see him too much. And Marcus Semien, same thing with him. He's with the Oakland A's, who always seems to be there for the wild card, but they don't get much further than that. Let's take a look at our Facebook question of the week. This segment, portion of More Sports and Les-Levine, brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. And the question of the week is, should the Indians trade Francisco Lindor now to maximize the return? I think we all know the three things that we have are the possibilities, and one would be trade him now, maximize the possibilities, wait a year and trade him, assuming you can go after a pennant chase one more time against Minnesota this year, or just play him for 2 years. You have control of him for 2 if you want, and don't get anything in return. That one doesn't sound good, but it might be the best way to go. All right, so we asked the question, should they trade him now to maximize his value? Jay Slagle, now's the time to start taking offers. Wait for the max package of players. Time is on their side. Well, Jay, that doesn't tell you what to do about the timing of it. Do you do it this year or next year? Dennis Davis says, no, 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 no. The answer is no. Dennis Percy says yes. Gerard Morelli, how do you maximize the return? Would you trade a Lamborghini for 10 Audis? You tell your fans that instead of trying to win it all in 2020, we'll be in another rebuild and waste our great pitching. Lawrence Butler says no. Acquire Urshela back from the Yankees to play third base. Ramirez to second base, straighten out the bullpen, and suddenly we become next year's Washington Nationals. The starting pitching is still acceptable. Can't argue with that. Let's continue on and see what other people have to say. Andy Mees says absolutely not. The Tribe must build around the superstar to win a World Series while they still have him under contract with a superior talent like Frankie to go along with a great young rotation led by a future Hall of Fame skipper. The Indians should be in a buying mode. Guys of Frankie's caliber just don't come along in Cleveland very often. Make the best of it while you can. Frank Marino says, I wouldn't, but it depends on what the front office does or is willing to do in the offseason. If Ramirez moves to second, he'll be strong up the middle. Are they willing to then plug the holes at third base and the corner outfield positions? If not, maximize the return now and trade him. This will not compete with the elite teams with that many holes in the outfield. That's my point. They won't be an elite team, but it doesn't mean you have to be an elite team to get there, as evidenced by what Washington is doing. Evan Knobloch says we're a small market team that cannot get butts in the seats. If things were different, I'd say keep him, but it's hard to pass up selling him when you have a chance to get a return on him. Realistically, we cannot build around him to make this work in the short term. Yes, I'm a diehard fan. Our opportunity to win it all was 2016. Well, I disagree a little bit. You know, you talk about putting butts in the seats. If you don't, I know you can't because it's part of the season, but if you don't count April, where you're never going to draw in Cleveland except for opening day, if you're not going to somehow miraculously draw big people in April, you're not going to do it in May either. But once you get to June and July, I'm not sure that, that the attendance was not bad at all. May, June, and the end of June into July, August, and September. And hopefully August and September takes you into a pennant chase. But I think it's unfair to blame the Indians fans for not showing up in big numbers. Nobody's going to come to an open-air stadium like we have in Cleveland right off the lake in April and May. So that's kind of unfair. If the American League or Major League Baseball isn't going to help them in any way as far as the schedule is concerned, and it looks like they're not going to do that, there's nothing Cleveland can do about it. But I think it's unfair to blame the fans on that by saying that it's tough to get butts in the seats. We know it's tough to get butts in the seats. I've been saying this for years, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's serious. I just said you're not going to draw people except for opening day. I say, if you announce right now that opening day tickets were on sale starting at 7 o'clock tonight, they'd be sold out by 7:15. So why don't you forget that, because it's going to be sold out anyway? How about selling out opening day 2, the second day of the baseball season? Turn that into your opening day pageantry and balloons and marching bands and cars and parades and all that stuff. Make that for game 2 and see if you can get a full house out of that. I would think you would. And you say, well, what's the big deal? It's a full house is 30,000 people. Well, if you're going to draw that poorly in the month of April, 30,000 people gives you a pretty good jolt. I was told that for every person that goes into Progressive Field, excluding the tickets, because the ticket prices are all over the place as far as premium prices and settings like that. I was told that this is an update because the last time I ever checked on this was about 8 or 10 years ago, and I was told every person who comes into that ballpark spends $18 to $20 per person. That's concessions, that's sweatshirts, hats, caps, whatever you buy. The average person, if you have on any given day, let's say in the season you have 30,000 people at a game, well, they spend 30,000 times 28 to 30. You do the math and figure out how much that brings in. So my point is, fill up the place, even if you, in fact, in April, I hadn't thought about this, I'd make them half-price tickets. I know they have premium tickets later in the season when you play the Yankees or the Red Sox. How about just making them half-price in the month of April? Those people are still going to spend now that figure is up to $28. So everybody who goes into the ballpark spends $28 on the average. So you would think that they'd be interested in doing that. Just get them in at either half price or get them in any way you can, and they'll be spending their $28. Good news coming in, Hoynes is here. I think he's been stuck in the green room. Is that right, Mike? He's... All right, we'll take a break. We'll bring in Hoynes, Northeast Factory Direct. You know them by now. There's no gimmicks, no deceiving blowout sales, no typical retail nonsense. Bottom line is nobody's going to touch them as far as everyday savings are concerned, or top quality. If you want nice big ticket items but you don't want to pay a lot, how about going online to northeastfactorydirect.com. Also at West 140th Street in Cleveland, the old B&B Appliance, Lakeland Boulevard, that's in Euclid, or the new one, Freeway Drive in Macedonia. North, they don't have them to the north, that's Lake Erie. East and west and south, they've got them, northeastfactorydirect.com. Paul Hoynes is here, getting ready to come. We'll check in with him. Let's check in first with Northfield Park. It's your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement. Live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with the post time 6 p.m. 6:40 is the post time for Saturday and Sunday. And the weekly Sunday contest features Belmont Park. Top prize $500 in cash each and every time they run that contest. We'll take a break. Northfield Park, of course, with free parking, free admission every day. Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
Oh, gosh. Playing Ohio Lottery Pick 3, I see. What are you gonna do? A box bed, a split pairs, or a wheel? Well, old Picky Ricky here is a straight shooter.
Okay.
It razzes my berries when newbies think betting's hard. Straight bets are easy peasy. Just match 3 numbers in order and win the old-fashioned way. This, on the other hand, is not so simple. Oh, God. Oh, jeez Louise. Play the Ohio Lottery Pick 3 today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Welcome back. More Sports and Less Levine, exclusively on cleveland.com. This segment brought to you by Tri-C. Who's this guy? Paul Hoynes. What did you do? You drove to Texas?
I drove to, I think I was going to Ashtabula or something.
Oh, my God.
I don't know what that
Well, welcome. You have to stay here till 7:15 tonight.
All right. Okay.
While I'm going home to enjoy dinner without a World Series game. How are you?
Good.
How are you liking the World Series so far?
Well, since I picked the Nationals in 7 games, I'm liking it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
It's a shock, though. I mean, Cole and Verlander losing back-to-back games.
Unbelievable. They're very similar. I mentioned in the intro, the Truth and Reason, which you would have heard if you were here. Nationals are somewhat similar to the Indians.
Yeah, kind of. I would think that. Yeah, it's strong starting pitching.
Right.
Got a decent lineup.
That's pretty much it. And bullpen is in shambles, like all the.
Bullpen's a little.
How about all the bullpens in trouble?
Yeah, I mean, and I think part of that is how managers use their pitching once they get into the postseason.
Oh, they do the bullpen games?
Well, I don't know. It's like they don't have confidence in the relievers they've used the whole season, and they stick a starter in there, another starter. And I don't know if that's a domino effect.
I don't understand that, because they should have known by now that you don't just stick in guys as a DH, or you don't stick in guys with 3 days rest when they're used to 4, because it really doesn't. Occasionally it's going to work, but they're not used to it.
No, definitely. That's always a red flag for me when a guy tries to come back on 3 days rest.
All right, I'm losing one of my sheets of paper, the one that has the ballpark, the favorite ballparks. Well, we're going to scrap that segment because I threw it away. The Gold Glove finalists were named. I don't know if you got to hear it.
Yeah,
while
I saw that. Yeah.
You were driving around Northeast Ohio. Shortstop Francisco-Lindor, Andrelton, Simmons, and Marcus Semien. Tell me about the other 2 guys besides Frankie.
Well, Simmons is a guy that's won it the last 4 years. He was like a platinum glove winner, too. But he was hurt this year. He got hurt in Cleveland. He only played 103 games. Lindor's played 143. Marcus Semien's Oakland's shortstop, historically started out as a terrible defensive shortstop, but he's really turned it around and had a great offensive year as well. But I think this was Lindor's probably his most consistent defensive season.
You take a look at a guy like Simmons, who's won it 4 years in a row. Here's a guy. So that we get to play the San Diego Padres, we don't get to see a guy in our own league that is that good, because he's probably unfamiliar to most of the people out there.
Right, and he started in the National League. He came up with Atlanta.
Right.
So we really don't know too much about him, but he's really a good defensive shortstop.
I was just thinking, the Browns until now, since Joe Thomas retired, have had a long line of left tackles, from starting with Lou Groza up to Joe Thomas. Very few non-good years with left tackles. And I think that the Indians have been pretty lucky, and you saw last night as Drupal Cabrera is still playing, still hanging on. There's been a pretty good string of shortstops. You want to start with Lou Boudreau, you can do that, but Omar Vizquel all the way through to today.
And even Felix Fermin was a good defensive shortstop. He couldn't hit worth a darn, but I mean he could field, and they've really been fortunate in that regard.
All right, I'm not shook up or anything here. I'm totally in control. So I said I lost the Major League Ballparks thing. Of course I did. It's on the same page with the shortstops. Let's see if we can put them up. This is a website called Stadium Journey, and they've got Progressive Field as the best place in the whole MLB.
I saw that, yeah.
And it goes up Oracle Park. I said I love Oracle Park. I love PNC, and of course the old. I haven't been to Wrigley, or I haven't been to Coors, but Wrigley and Fenway, they have survived the new stadiums that have come, and they're still classic ballparks.
Yeah, I mean, Definitely. I think all the money that the Indians and and their partners have put into Progressive Field over the last 4, 5, 6 years, I think it's paid off.
It's hard to believe it's 25 years.
It's beautiful. It's still a beautiful ballpark.
Still a beautiful ballpark, and they changed the concession stand. The one thing I didn't like when they opened it is that you had to go into the concession area, which took you away from the ballpark, and you couldn't see what was going on in the game.
Right.
And they fixed that up.
Yeah, now they've opened up the whole thing. They've got the great bar in the right center field. Right corner.
Yeah.
Lots of people go there. It gets ripped for the storage containers up in the upper deck in right field.
As well they should.
Yeah, but at least they've kind of they've made it more appealing to the eyesight. And I didn't like the fact that they took out so many seats. It went from 44,000 and now it's smaller than Fenway.
Right, 33 now.
But based on the crowds they've been drawing, it was a pretty good move.
All right, I don't want to puncture the balloon here, but as viewers of this show know, I've always said that How Come Quickie is how come the home run porch is mostly in foul territory, right?
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to burst another balloon. In the corner where it says Carnegie and Ontario? Not quite. It's 9th Street.
It's 9th Street on the corner of Carnegie and Ontario.
They moved it. The city planners don't know what they're doing. Let the people who did Progressive Field do that.
It sounds good. Sounds good.
What is your favorite 2 or 3 ballparks?
I like Safeco Field in Seattle. I really like that. I like Fenway.
You like Fenway better than Wrigley?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I like Fenway better than Wrigley, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But I kind of like Yankee Stadium. New Yankee Stadium.
Did you like the old one better?
I just like the feel of the old
Yankee
one better.
Stadium.
Yeah, because. I just remember the press box shaking there in the postseason. When
from the noise? Is that right?
Just from the fans jumping up and down.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the most stable ballpark.
If you had at Old Cleveland Stadium, if you had that, and they'd start shaking, then the seats would just break.
Yeah, and that press box at Old Cleveland Stadium was like a metal
You had a good view though.
Yeah, it was a great view.
Yeah.
And it was dangerous too, man. You had to be on your toes, or you get hammered with a foul ball right between the eyes.
Speaking of that, has anybody from the Indians said anything about putting the fences up all around the seating area?
I think they were discussing that at the end of the year. I don't know how far they'll take it out, but I would imagine they'll lengthen it. I think almost every team has got to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you would wait on that. You want to wait for one more person to get injured? I don't know.
I think the tough part, the engineering part, I think, was down the left field line because there's a lot
is that right?
Yeah, a lot more
open space. It's a bigger lower deck.
And hooking it up to the wall,
Yeah.
the 19-foot
I get it.
wall out there.
All right, from the beginning, let's go back to How Come Quickie. As our writers work diligently on How Come Quickie tonight. Let's see if they can work diligently and get it up on screen. Maybe not. Maybe they threw. Oh, there it is. How come if you write a book about Halloween, you should use a ghostwriter? You agree with that?
Yeah, I like that. Why not?
Have you ever used a ghostwriter in any of your columns or
I wish I would have a couple times.
Do you ever, in the old days when newspapers were, before the internet, and there were some great sports newspapers and sports departments, did you ever write a story on the game and then read one of the local papers and say, wow, did I miss that whole game? Was it?
Yeah, I used to do that definitely.
What papers?
With Boston, in Peter Gammons and Nick Cafardo, those guys would write game stories, and I'd sit there thinking, I'm not sure I did okay with that one, And sometimes if I tried to write a column, and then I'd read Bob August in an old Cleveland Press, I said. I think I missed. I might have fouled that one off,
216-575-0403. You want to talk to Hoynes? You can do that right now. He's on a respite. You going on your annual trip soon?
Yes. Well,
like you haven't been
December.
Haven't been in enough airports.
Yes, right. It's just fun. Hey, we're going to Jamaica, so we'll see if we make it back alive. But everything will be good.
All right. This segment brought to us by our friends at Tri-C. Check them out. And you see the website right there. Tri-C offering, it ranks 10th in the nation in conferring associate degrees. in health science, health professions and related scientists. That's from Tri-C, and check them out on the web. Let's take a break. Hoynes is here halfway through he doesn't know we're halfway through, but we are. I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that. You're diligent enough to keep on plugging away. How is Pittsburgh this time of year?
I was headed to Pittsburgh. Well, I was really headed to Columbus.
Pittsburgh or Columbus. If you say you were either going to Pittsburgh or Columbus and you're headed to where the studio is, you were bad shape either way.
Not kidding.
Let's take a break. We will continue on with the great Paul Hoynes of the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, brought to you by cleveland.com. Back in a moment.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Hoynes, you'll remember this date in sports history. 1995, the Indians beat the Braves on a walk-off single by Eddie Murray in Game 3 of the World Series, the first series win for the Indians since 1948.
I remember that. I remember, I think it was Maddox, maybe? Or somebody, it was late.
10th or 11th inning.
Yeah, it was late, and somebody brushed him back, and he got mad. Somebody threw under.
How do you, as a Clevelander and a big Indians fan, how do you separate good stuff, bad stuff, and remember you got to be a reporter, but you're still a Cleveland Indians fan?
Well, I think it's just, you can't be a cheerleader,
Right.
I mean, I grew up in Cleveland. I've followed the Indians for all my life, so I am a fan. I want them to do well, but your job is to be objective and as objective as you can be. And
you'll never get caught going to the game with the Chief Wahoo jacket.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not wearing my Indians cap to the press box. But it's just, it comes with the territory. You've got to walk that line.
The assistant general manager was not George Costanza from.
from Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, from the Astros, who got fired. Brandon Taubman was his name. You know anything about him? He was the assistant general manager.
I have never met him. I just read what happened, and I don't see how. I mean, I don't think the Astros had much of a chance.
No, because they made up a story too about it.
Yeah, I mean their PR they've taken a beating this year with PR wise. They kept the Detroit reporter out of the locker room.
Oh, that was Verlander, right?
Yeah, at Verlander's request. Yeah. So they have not done a great job this year.
We're assuming alcohol might have been part of this problem.
Well, I would, from what I read, it happened an hour, into the celebration or after most of the locker room had cleared out, and this guy, was defending Osuna, who had been suspended 75 games for domestic violence the year before, and he came up. But he shouted at three female reporters
who were wearing T-shirts that showed that.
Yeah, they had
problem.
like a domestic violence things, wristbands on, and in support of this guy, and for no reason, this guy gave up the game-tying home run in the 9th inning, Osuna. So what were you defending him about?
I don't know. Just let it slide under the table.
Sometimes in those celebrations, I think. lots of the front office guys come in there, and they might think they're at that moment they're part of the team, or
right?
They're part of the.
They're not,
and they can say anything, and nothing is out of bounds. But that was clearly out of bounds.
So I told you during the break, I didn't finish the story, that I said, what would induce somebody to say something in a drunken stupor like that, because you're just asking for trouble? And I only had trouble with that one time in my life. My first year in broadcasting in Indiana, Christmas party, and I get a bonus check, and I open it up, and now this is 1970, $10. Now even in 1970 money, $10 is not what I would call an apropos gift.
Right.
So I slowly went to the general manager, and I quickly went to him, but I slowly tore up the envelope, and I said, I can't believe I still had a job, and I said, here, you keep it. You obviously need it more than I do.
That's a pretty good line.
It was a pretty good line, and then but in retrospect, how did he not fire me right on the spot?
Yeah, what? I mean, that's a tough gig right there.
Boy, what kind of general manager was he? Oh yeah, his father owned the radio station. I remember now. 216-575-0403. If you want to talk to Hoynes, you can do that right now. Northeast Factory Direct. East and west, as well as south. South is Macedonia and Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid and West 140th Street. And, of course, northeastfactory.com, the place on the website. Before you even go out the door, you should check that out. No gimmicks, just 3 huge bare-bones warehouses with probably 1/10 the cost of rent as the big box stores, and they pass that savings on to you. Alex, believe it or not, has been doing it for 20 years now, passing savings on to you each and every day. We'll take a break. We'll come on back with Hoynes. More Sports and Les-Levine, brought to you by cleveland.com. And, of course, we've got the big clam bake coming up. Only one more. They had it each and every Saturday at Saturday nights at Sokolowski's University, and so they got one more to go this Saturday night. 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. all day and all night. And just check it out. It's 216-771-9236. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn, Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant. We'll come back in a moment with Hoynes. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Here's the birthdays for today. This is one of the classic pictures in all sports. Y.A. Tittle. That was in Pittsburgh, Pitt Stadium, I believe. How about that? 1926, Y.A. Yelverton Abraham was born on that date. Johnny Latner, Scotch Tape, 1947. Is that how you would spelled it?
That's pretty good.
It is pretty good. Corey Dillon, running back. Eric Hosmer, Haven't heard much from him. He signed that huge contract.
Right, he has not, yeah.
Jalen Ramsey, all born on the 24th of October. 216-575-0403. We are considering, Mike in the booth, we're considering a Facebook question as to what should the general manager of Les's station in Indiana have done? What should he have done when Les slowly ripped up the check? Because it's not like I just said, boom. I slowly, for emphasis, ripped it up.
He probably scotch taped it back together again.
You don't want it?
Yeah.
I can't. My broadcasting career should have ended after 3 months.
And look where you are now.
Yeah, look what it's made me. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right. Once the series ends, and that could be in 2 games, 3, 4, whatever, then you can start. You can announce free agency and then go after players.
Well, it's as soon as the last game of the World Series ends, every player eligible for free agency automatically turns free agent. And then you've got each team has like a 5-day quiet period where they can negotiate with their own free agents.
Okay.
Other teams.
And wait, hold on one second. And so most of the teams get an idea right then if they're interested at all. If they're
and they know they've already talked to them. They already know if they've got a chance to keep these guys, and they've told them we're going to try to keep you or we're not. And then you got that 5-day period, quiet period. Other teams can express interest, but they can't offer money. And then after 5 days, it's open season. Yeah.
All right, where do the Indians stand in any of this? We had our Facebook question of the day, what to do about Lindor. There's 3, as far as I know, there's 3 things you do. You just keep him and play 2 years and then say sayonara, right? Or you make a trade for him today or before spring training starts because you'll get max value at that point. Or you get 1 more year out of him. So hopefully you can beat Minnesota, maybe Chicago, and then do whatever you want to do after that. Are there any alternatives that I've missed here?
No, I mean, those, you nailed it. I mean, those are the three or sign him to an extension. Try to sign him to an extension, which we know that's not going to happen.
Has he said anything about? I know he said all the perfunctory. I love Cleveland and all that.
Yeah, he says, talk to my agent. Yeah.
Who is his agent?
His agent is.
I mean, is it one of the big boys?
No, I mean this guy's got a lot of guys, but I'm drawing a blank.
Okay, but it's not Scott Boras.
No, it's not. But this is Lindor's his guy. So he had.
Well, Lindor would be anybody's guy.
He had. I want to say he had. Who was the reliever that signed with the Cubs? The mid-season. The guy that the guy that goes like this.
Oh yeah.
But he has him, so he held out till after the draft.
Well, pitching is different, but
I
mean, and there's forget money for a minute. Most teams would move a guy from shortstop somewhere else to get Lindor in. I mean, don't you have to do that?
Oh yeah, I mean he's a face. He's a face of the franchise player.
I mean, I heard talking about the Yankees and say, oh no, they're set at short for a lot of years. No,
Didi's a free agent.
Yeah, he's a free agent, so it does open the door for him if they want to trade. What's more surprising, or how surprising is it that Urshela has done what he's done?
That's a stunner to me. I mean, I watched this guy. You watched him for 10 years in the minors and in the big leagues. I mean, he was, Brooks Robinson at third base, but
he couldn't hit.
But he was Mike Fischlin with a bat in his hand.
Mike Fischlin. I never thought I'd hear that name again.
So, I mean, I don't know what happened to this guy, but God love him.
Is it Yankee pinstripes?
It might be. I mean, it might be, getting released by the Indians, a team you'd come up with, been with 9 or 10 years, bouncing to Toronto, then bouncing to the Yankees and getting released by the Yankees and re-signed. I mean, maybe, a light went on and he started to listen to somebody.
Wow. What was the biggest surprise, good or bad, last year? As far as the Indians are concerned.
As far as the Indians, I would think, Roberto Perez, the way he played.
No pass balls.
Yeah. No pass balls, and he caught I know he played like 118, 119 games.
Right.
I think he made 113 starts at catcher. I mean, that's unbelievable. And he
20-some home runs. I'm not sure the number.
20,
I want to say 20.
24 home runs.
Yeah, 24.
And then he threw out, I think, 47% of the runners he faced.
What's an average, or what's good?
Anything over 25% is good.
Is good.
Yeah, so, I mean, he just did a great job.
Baseball somehow does it despite themselves. The games are so great at this time of the year, and the drama is unbelievable. And people who think that games are too long or boring, they're not watching these games.
Right, yeah. And I mean, these games are they're gonna last a little longer.
Start them earlier.
Yeah, but it's just think about this World Series. You got Verlander, you got Cole, you've got Max Scherzer, you've got Patrick Corbin, you've got Strasburg. You've got the best starting pitchers in baseball in one
place,
series.
yeah.
Facing each other.
How about the thing Fox has when they show 3 different pitches, the fastball, the curveball, the slider, what it does? Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and out of one, the same arm slot?
Yeah, and then you wonder, how in the world does any batter with no time at all, how do they hit anything?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the Indians were in San Francisco, and Justin Masterson was pitching, and for some reason, I was down near home plate, and his ball was moving all over the place, and he was throwing like 95 miles an hour. And I'm sitting there, this is a different game.
Yeah.
This is a different level. You just can't sit there and step in there and hit that ball. It's just it requires a lot of skill and working the count and all that stuff comes into it. Getting your right pitch and forcing the pitcher to throw you the right pitch.
Everybody who's been here the last week, I've said the same thing. So we'll see where you fall into place here. The World Series to you and I means something. I remember coming home from school and watching the games in the fall afternoon and so on. And so I have a pretty good sense of history of what the World Series is. Kids today don't have that, nor does baseball or MLB care about that. Why aren't we seeing Reggie Jackson hitting 3 home runs? Why aren't we seeing Kirk Gibson? Why aren't we seeing Kirby Puckett or Joe Carter or guys, Bill Mazeroski? Why? I know they don't want to go back to the old days, but don't you have to have some sense of history here?
What do you mean, like replays of that?
Yeah, show them something, set up with the world. Otherwise, they don't know what the World Series history to them is yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think, that's an interesting question.
Well, you have kids.
Yeah.
Adult kids. What did they grow up? Did they just like the game as it was, or did they have some sense of history?
I think they grew up Indians fans. They grew up all those great '90s teams. Those are and even before that, meeting me at the airport and when Toby Harrell was playing and stuff like that. Those are the guys they remember.
Well, they had a unique view of what was happening. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. You can catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with the post time at 6 p.m. And Saturday and Sunday, post time 6:40. Open early every day at noon for simulcast action all over the world. Don't forget the weekly Sunday contest featuring Belmont. Top prize $500 each week in cash at Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We're going to come on back with Les Levine history. We'll check some How Come Quickies, get some final thoughts from Paul Hoynes of the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. More Sports and Les Levine continues in a moment. Brought to you by cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of October and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery, partners in education, where stars shine.
All right, here's today's date in Les-Levine history. 1958, Hoynes, as Roland School student president, Les orders students to bring him 3 Musketeers bars for the school Halloween party. Those who do not obey may get bicycle parking tickets. Got to show your power in a situation like that. It's the end of the week. Let's check out this week in Les-Levine history. 2019, which was a couple of days ago. After a couple of days, Les still can't believe that Freddie Kitchen thought that he could score twice before the end of the first half last Sunday. That was it's bad clock management, Hoynes. This is bad calendar management. Thought he could score twice. No comment?
No comment.
All right, October 22nd, Les wonders if why it can be called the World Series when only countries from North America can play.
Exactly. That's a good question.
Thank you. Well, we got 4 or 5 a week. We just want to hit on 2. That's all. Les fulfills his election promise as student council president to create more jobs by telling people to miss the garbage can after lunch. That kept everybody busy until lunch period was over.
All right.
That's okay too?
Busy hands.
Okay, here we go. The beloved part of the show, the historic part of this, the reason we do this, How Come Quickies. Mr. Bull, and you're going to judge them.
Okay.
Each on its own merit. Mr. Gullible says, how come it's not global warming, but it's planetary menopause?
I'm going to give that a 4.
A 4? Okay. I give 4.2 maybe.
4.2.
Okay. It's too much thinking. This one's better, I promise, from Mr. Gullible. How come my tennis partner must not be happy with my serve because he keeps returning it? Ooh. Told you it was better. It would have to be.
Yeah, that's 6.
6. Okay, that's good. This from John Patrick. How come a group of squids, how come a group of squids is not called a squad?
I like that. 7.5.
7.5. Let me read that again. I gave it short shrift. How come a group of squids isn't called a squad? Okay. That's it for tonight's How Come Quickies.
All right.
You have by any chance, do you have a rant for me?
Yes.
No, not for me, for the viewing audience.
I have one, yes.
All right, here we go with an ad-libbed rant. Here's Paul Hoynes, Hoynesy.
Les, I've been thinking about temptation. Temptation a lot for these last few days. That kind of temptation where you're wrestling with your conscience. Should I do it? Should I not do it? The good angel on one shoulder, the bad angel on the other. So like last week, I was driving down to downtown, and on the side of the road is a Brinks truck. It's broken down Brinks truck. It's all alone, and cars are the only people watching it are these guys speeding by it, at 90 miles an hour. So I'm thinking to myself, I should turn back. Pull up behind that Brinks truck and just for a minute, just give it a shot and see if that back door is open. I'm not greedy, Les. If there was a couple bags of money in there, I'd leave the one filled with hundreds and only take the one with 20s. One bag. Who's going to miss it? Who's going to miss that? And if it was that important to them, they should have kept a guard there, walking sentry. So this is the kind of stuff I'm wrestling with. And then I wrestle with other things, like I'm laying in bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I can't sleep, and you know why? Because that half gallon of vanilla ice cream in the freezer is calling my name. It's going, Hoynesy, come down and talk to me. And and I can't sleep. It's ringing in my ears, and I know it's there. I can hear it, and then I know there's whipped cream, a can of whipped cream and chocolate sauce in the refrigerator, and they all join together. It's like a choir, 3 voices. They're tempting me. So this is the kind of stuff I have to, I'm dealing with every day. And then I'm sitting there thinking, if I'm dealing with this, Other people have to be doing it too, you know. Let's take for instance Paul Dolan, Indians owner Paul Dolan. He's a man. He's got to be tempted, right? And you know what? You know what I think his biggest temptation is right now? His combination of broken down Brinks truck and a half-gallon vanilla ice cream. It's Francisco-Lindor. What do you do with this guy? Do you trade him? This is the prime time to trade him. You trade him now, you get everything you want. You want a starting pitcher in case Corey-Kluber's comeback fails? You got it. You want a middle infielder to take Lindor and Jason Kipnis' spot? You got it. You want an outfielder to stop the madness that we've been going through for 4 or 5 years with platoons in all positions? You got them. This is the time. If you wait till 2020 mid-season, you got a discount. It's a discounted price. If you wait till 2021 mid-season, all you're going to get, he's a rental. He's a rental. You get Yasiel Puig back, and he's gone in 2 months, and you don't even get the qualifying offer. You won't even get, a draft pick, a high draft pick when he's gone. So, this is the thing. Or, he could also keep him for 2 years. Try to win a World Series, get back to the World Series for 2 years. He could be tempted that way. But he can't cut payroll. He can't cut payroll if he's going to do that. And his front office has to make great trades at the mid-season point like they've done the last 2 years. So Paul Dolan is wrestling with this stuff. He's wrestling with all this stuff. And it's tempting him. The temptation is going this way, that way. And what do? What's he going to do? The one thing, I know that'll eventually, what will come to be out of this is the siren song of broken down Brinks trucks and half gallons of vanilla ice cream have swayed many a man.
All right, first of all, you are an absolute genius. You can put that on your resume that you're a genius. How you get from the Brinks truck and ice cream to Paul Dolan is nothing short of miraculous. So we were at somebody's house the other night, and they said, we have such and such ice cream. And the person said, well, I don't like that. What person doesn't like any kind of ice cream?
Yeah, ice cream.
It's ice cream. I don't need the brand name. Just bring it on. Okay. Where did you miss the turn to get to the studio tonight? At the beginning of the Brinks truck? Or was it Paul Dolan, what he was dealing with?
The Brinks truck.
You're going like this. You're going like this. And in the meantime, you're passing. You're going like this.
I should have got off.
So maybe 3 exits earlier, you'd have been fine.
That's right.
That is so funny. All right, so which of those temptations do you think you'll do? Which of those temptations would you do, and what do you think Paul will do? Do you think Paul doesn't even know yet?
I think that I think he knows what he wants to do. I think the front office wants maybe there's a little discussion going on there. I think they've done it in the past. I think it'll come down to they'll play it out. They'll let him play for 2 years here
all the way
and let him walk. And maybe
let him walk and get nothing.
And or you try to get back to the World Series with him, and then let him walk.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. If I follow what you're saying here, that next year, I still think Minnesota did it with smoke and mirrors, and they won't have as good pitching unless they buy a bunch of pitchers. Right. I don't think Chicago is ready. So I think with a similar team that the Indians had last year, they could still win that division.
Yeah, they won 93 games.
Yeah, normally that gets you there.
Yeah, that gets you there. And you're right. I think the Twins are. I don't think they're going to play they're not going to win 100 games next year.
I wouldn't think so. All right, Doug Lesmerises will be here on Monday. We'll talk lots to talk about with Doug. The Ohio State Buckeyes playing on Saturday afternoon at noon against Wisconsin. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Browns and see how they did against the New England Patriots. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow from 10 until 2. I'll be in for Andy Baskin along with Jeff Phelps. That'll be tomorrow from 10 until 2. Don't forget Dave Bacon with the weekend winners coming up in this time slot tomorrow night. Hoynes will be here next Thursday. He promises me. If not, we're rerunning that tape anyway. Right? If you missed it, you can find it. You can archive it on cleveland.com. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I can't see you on radio. That's a How Come Quickie. How do you make an appearance on radio?
That's right.
You can't. All right, but I'll be making an appearance on radio tomorrow. We'll be back here on Monday night with Doug Lesmerises of cleveland.com. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.